Cherry Valley with no cherries in sight. One local orchard owner says a changing climate leads to a season without the community's namesake fruit.
Reporter Nathaniel Langley shares more about the impact of an unreliable growing season.
Come on, old man.
With Gordy by his side, Raul Bergeson heads out for his 50th growing season at Valley Orchard.
It continues to be an adventure. Every year is different.
On Valley Orchard's about 200 cherry trees. Bergeson says he's found about 20 cherries, with most of them gone by now.
Right now, I don't think they're even on the trees. I think the birds got them before they ever ripened.
But the owner believes unreliable weather soured his sweet crop.
This is the most damaging frost that we've had in 50 years of doing this.
Bergeson says his cherries bloomed about 2 weeks earlier than normal this spring.
Everything warms up early, and it's inevitable that you're going to have a freeze before the end of April or the first part of May.
A 2022 report from the U.S. Department of Agriculture found a warming climate increases the risk for spring freezes in Illinois.
Of course, it's an economic impact. On the plus side, the trees have never looked better. So all these fresh green shoots are this year's growth.
Without any fruit growing, Bergeson expects a massive crop for 2027.
There are some fruit buds already setting for next year.
But the owner says he'll try to accept whatever fate nature offers his crops.
You just have to accept it, and you can't beat yourself up about it. There's nothing you can do.
Reporting in Cherry Valley, minus the cherries, Nathaniel Langley.
Valley Orchard's apples weren't affected by the spring freeze. The owner says the farm will return to normal business by Labor Day. Miss those cherries, though.